To see the fully uncut version of this video, head over to patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons.
What's that like to live deliciously? Chaos reigns.
Please don't scream.
Nah, Sid, don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
What's going on? My name is Jonjo Lyons, and today I'm here to present to you my review for Famine. Written by Ryan Nicholson, Taylor Nicholson, and Jeff O'Brien, and directed by Ryan. Famine stars all of these. 2 years after a high school prank that nearly killed popular teacher Mr. Balzac during the school's annual famine, the graduating class of sloppy secondary tried to forget the incident and decide to hold a 24-hour famine in hopes of making it an annual event again. It isn't long before students and staff start turning up dead at the hands of a killer masquerading as the school's mascot. Is Balzac back for revenge? Hello my fellow tragedies waiting to happen, and welcome to Jonjo Lyons Reviews, or as I like to call it, a log of one very depressed man's downward spiral. Today we take a look at another entry in the filmography of Ryan Nicholson, Famine, aka Detention Night, aka Stupid Teens Must Die. Similar to Gutterballs, go watch that video please, it's a good video. Famine is a whodunit slasher featuring a cast of obnoxious teens and creative kills completely soaked in human bean juice. What more could you want? Famine manages to improve upon Gutterballs in almost every single way, with the final girl that might be my favourite of all time for two reasons that will become clear very soon. But before we get into all of that, I just want to remind you, you can see this video completely uncut and early at patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons for as little as $2 a month. Not only do you gain access to hours and hours of exclusive content, but also the Discord community and the knowledge that you are literally the only thing keeping this channel going. The last 4 videos have been demonetized, meaning I haven't earned a single penny off of over 150 hours of work, which when you think about it is pretty brutal. That's why the Patreon is so essential to me, so if you like the content and have $2 spare, please go over there now and consider joining. And that's all I'm plugging this week, because honestly it is so important. Patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons. You're the best. But anyway, I'm in the mood to fall in love with the most beautiful woman in the world, so let's not waste any more time. Get ready to see one guy misuse a Swiss roll. Yes, it's exactly what you think. This is Famine. The movie begins with this girl, Jenny, walking through the school halls. Oh, and before you pipe up, the girl's clearly in her 20s. I can say what I like. She passes a couple of bullies who chat some then this joker-looking Nick who says a flirty hello. Jenny is then tripped over by this girl, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Nice talking to you, Jenny.
Stupid.
Cut to Nick and Sarah kissing as these two teachers, Nerd and Mustache, watch. I'm sure they've got names, but they're only in 2 scenes, so they make the usual feminist-friendly comments before noticing the new meat, Miss Vicar'S. Nerd says she's volunteered to chaperone the students for the 24-hour famine, leading Mustache to deem her hot and stupid. Vicar'S joins the men, handing over a bottle of booze and saying she's had to confiscate dope from a few students already. Mustache says they divide that up at the end of the week, and Nerd adds it's first come, first serve, so don't be late.
I won't.
I like her. Cut to a clock reading 12 PM and then to our main cast of teens as they talk about the upcoming famine, and the boys are, well, this is a Ryan Nicholson movie.
Katie is stashing some food after you all get done flashing its ass and shit.
You're paid.
The boys then tease the scarred janitor for being so ugly, and one of them dumps his drink on the floor before taking off. Jenny appears and helps the janitor, then starts drawing on the sign-up sheet when she's surprised by Miss Vicar'S.
This isn't what it looks like.
Looks like you drew a flower for Kathy. That was lovely of you.
Oh, please, kiss. Every time I say this, it never happens, but come on, movie, this one time, please!
See you at the famine, Jenny.
Okay, it's alright. We're only 6 minutes in, there's plenty of time for things to change. Jenny's then jump scared by this girl, Kathy, who wishes her luck on the Famine and leaves. Cut to Miss Vickers running into Mr. Nilsson, the school principal. We find out the Famine is her idea, and he assures Vickers if there's any issues, he'll be reporting her to the school trustees. Nilsson says it's been 5 years since the last Famine, and for good reason. Vickers says it'll be good to have the students do something worthwhile, while Nilsson reminds her that if it weren't for the extra credits, she'd be alone in that gym. He again threatens her job when Vickers assures him she won't let him down. Of course, not because he's German, because he's in an extreme horror movie. If you're German and in an extreme horror movie, you tend to have those political views. Cut to the POV of someone putting on the school mascot head and then to Jenny taking a seat outside. She's joined by Vickers, who voices her concern about being the only one into the whole Famine idea. Jenny then decides to give her the details on what happened 5 years ago. Go on. Go on.
I heard it was Kathy.
Oh, for f***'s sake. Okay, fine. What happened then? Jenny explains that Kathy had a crush on Mr. Balzac, a teacher all the girls loved and all the boys hated. After being embarrassed by Balzac, Nick started bullying this girl when the teacher intervened and offered him a free shot. Which didn't go well for old Jack Napier here.
Come back next year.
Cut to Balzac putting stuff away as Jenny's voiceover explains the one who had it worst for the teacher was Kathy, who then appears. Balzac then commends her for volunteering for the Famine. He says he needs some help in his office and asks Kathy to walk with him, all the while reassuring her that her lack of development is perfectly normal. In the office, Balzac continues that Kathy is a beautiful, attractive girl. Kathy tells him to make her feel like a woman, and just as they're about to bang, she accidentally pushes him into these shelves, which knocks down a random beaker of acid.
Mr. Balzac!
Who the f*** keeps a random open beaker of acid on the top shelf? A c*** who wants to get his face melted off, that's who. Kathy runs out of the room and into the main cast, followed by Balzac looking a little sunburned. Cut back to present day as Jenny says that's all she knows. Vickers confirms it was Sarah who told Jenny this story, insinuating it might not be 100% the truth, as behind them we see Kathy creeping. She then asks Jenny what became of Balzac, and she says he dropped off the radar. No one really knows what happened to him. Vickers also asks about Kathy, and Jenny says she was expelled. Vickers asks why she's still around, and Jenny says because what happened f***ed her up and she got sent to an institution. Yeah, but why is she still at the school, mate? You didn't quite answer that question.
I'm guessing that Sarah told you that. Am I right, Jenny?
Sarah knows everything. She's really tapped in.
Yeah.
Why are you asking me all these questions?
Ah, mentally deficient and prone to sudden violent outbursts of extreme anger. We have so much in common. Vickers leaves as Kathy jump scares Jenny again, telling her she thought she was nice. Jenny snaps back she is when Kathy storms off. I know this is minor, but how did Vickers not hear Kathy screaming as she walked off? Cut to the clock reading 3 PM and then to Sarah pushing her way through the hall. She enters the gym and we see through the eyes of the mascot someone is watching her. She meets her mate Katie in the bathroom and they decide to hide their secret food in the tampon dispenser. Sarah then leaves Katie to pee when suddenly the lights go out. Katie, thinking it's Sarah, leaves the stall and instead is confronted by the school's mascot, Naylor. Great. How long until the puns about getting nailed start? He starts hitting her with his inflatable hammer as the girl plays along, quoting some more awesome dialogue.
I love getting nailed. Nice and hard. Nail me, baby.
Not very long at all. He then nails her. In the face. With a knife. Oh, nice! That is so much blood! Lucky she's got a bag full of tampons now. Naylor drags the girl away as we cut back to the clock reading 7:58 PM. Cut to the gym as all the kids wait for Famine to start. Vickers thanks Jenny for talking to her and says she wants everyone to forget about the last Famine. She then says she needs Jenny's help. She wants her to be her eyes and ears with the other students. Cut to the teens as they moan about already being starving. Sarah says Operation Hide the Food was a success and Vanessa asks Jenny what Vickers wanted, with Jenny playing dumb. Or just being dumb.
Remember the last famine? Kind of hard to forget someone being melted by acid.
Well, you just remember it.
Oi, you wanna watch your mouth? Be nice to my big-breasted, black-haired retard woman. And another thing, if any of you out there have a problem with me using the word retard, I'm Irish, and retard is basically our N-word. I'm taking it back. Cut to Nilsson complaining that Kathy is here in the state of the floor, but Vickers promises everything's gonna be fine. He tells her his office is unlocked with a cheeky smile, and Vickers quickly f***s him off. Cut back to the boys talking about banging Vickers and Sarah continuing to be an insufferable She storms over to the other girls and demands to know where Katie is, as we learn they plan to sell the food to the other students. Vickers then comes over and confiscates Sarah's phone, as we cut to Jenny apologising to Kathy.
Hi, Kathy. I'm sorry about today.
A boot. She apologises again, and Kathy loses her temper, saying she doesn't know what happened because she wasn't there. Not her parents or the doctors. No one was there, so they don't know what really happened. She storms off as we cut to the boys, and Nick watches Kathy, saying she'll get hers. She's on the list, then pointing to Jenny and saying the same.
Hey, darling.
Cut to this fella, Peterson, using a Swiss roll to himself off. Well, at least he's not eating it. That'd be against the rules. Unless he plans on eating it after. I wonder if my dad's thought about that. Maybe he can incorporate that technique next time he goes under the bridge for his weekly shop. Nick and the boys sneak into the bathroom and videotape this sexy event, leading Vickers to grab Peterson and drag him out as the other kids laugh.
They should have like special schools for retards.
Hey, that's our word! Retard, please! Cut to Vickers telling Peterson to get the janitor to let him out. She leaves, and through the eyes of the nailer, we see the boy instead head back down the hall. Cut to Sarah whinging to Nick about wanting her apology.
But don't you want to have fun with my girl? You idiot!
That wet t-shirt look is so you!
Shut up!
Nick then approaches Jenny and gives her a little kiss, which she loves, as Vickers reminds them that some people in this world have to go days without food. Then there's some more bullying from these two when Terry flirts with Vanessa and they head off. Cut to Sarah and Nick banging when Jenny bursts in and gets caught in the crossfire. Good lord, Joker's volume, power and distance travelled are all exceptional. I'll give it 5 Glimmer Twins out of 5. Sarah comes out of the stall and the girls start fighting when Vickers comes in and breaks it up.
Come on. Will you take my shirt off?
Okay, Jenny. Here we go. There we go. See? So easy.
Vickers then throws the girls back into the gym when Kathy tries to be nice to Jenny again, who isn't having it.
Kids can be really mean. Go away, you stupid show.
Vickers appears, saying if one of the girls get kicked out, both have to go, and asks Jenny if she can afford that. With the intellect Jenny's displayed thus far, I'm gonna say no. Jenny storms off and we cut back to the clock, now at 10:30 PM. Cut to Jenny at her locker with one of her tits out when she's jump scared by the janitor. I swear this is getting constantly jump scared by everyone. She asks if he was watching her, but he says he just came round the corner, all while stroking his face vagina. My dad has a face vagina. It's called his mouth. She tells him to have a nice night and tries to walk away, but he follows her, telling her the school is locked up tight. Jenny demands to be let out, and the janitor asks why, seeing as she'll miss out on the extra credit she so desperately needs. He guesses it's because of Sarah, then says kids can be real mean before going into his backstory.
What happened to you?
It was years ago. Like I said, kids can be real mean.
Good talk, buddy. Cut to Peterson finding his Swiss roll, which crawls away from him when he reaches out for it. Then to Terry desperately trying to open any door he can find. He enters this one as the janitor appears at the end of the hall, and we cut to him walking through the class as Terry hides under the desks. The janitor then finds this knife in a garbage can and wonders why someone would throw it away before leaving. Terry climbs out from under the desk, and we cut to Vanessa bumping into Jenny being and buggering off. She's then jumped by the nailer as we cut back to the clock, now at 12:24 AM. Cut to Jenny taking a seat on some stairs. She sees Vickers walking through the hall, then Terry going in the same direction. She makes a move as we cut to Terry in the school kitchen. He pours a load of laxative into some soup, then pisses in the pickle jar when the nailer appears behind him and ends his life. That's what you get. Also, why is he putting laxatives into food at an event where no one's eating? And speaking of food, what happened to the food they were going to sell to the other students? It never comes up again. Was that just a way to get Katie in the bathroom to get killed? Was that the only way you could do it? Cut to Jenny going back into the gym where Kathy again tries to be friendly but is knocked back. She then counts up who's left, noticing it's the same group who were at the last famine. But of course, Sarah doesn't listen and tells her to go screw.
Oh my god, you're right. There's a nerd in a room full of cool people.
There's a nerd with tits I'd feed my own grandmother into a wood chipper for 5 minutes with, Sarah. Now, shut the f*** up and get your lips wrapped round her labia. Or is it labia? I don't know. I've never seen one. She then tries to tell Vickers but gets the same, albeit sexier response.
That everyone that was there is here, and...
Cut to Peterson chasing the Swiss roll. He manages to get hold of it and gives it a little suck before popping it on his...
It's gonna be much better than watching Jenny change while banging her cat. Damn thing scratched my balls.
Hold on a minute, what the f*** did you say?
Banging her cat.
So what you're saying is that you r***ed Jenny's cat while watching her change. Where did you watch her change? It can't have been at school. You must have followed her home, grabbed the cat, waited for her to change, and then f***ed the cat while she changed. I admire your tenacity, sir. I don't think you needed to f*** the cat, though. Or spy on a unsuspecting woman as she changed. Maybe admiration is the wrong word. Behind Peterson, we see the shadow of the nailer approach and he gets nailed. Cut to Vanessa coming to, bound and gagged, where she chats for a bit before being impaled on Peterson's head knife.
Oh! You wanted to play rocking chair, now why don't you just...
Well, at least in death, Peterson finally got to penetrate a woman. Shine bright, you cat Swiss roll diamond, you. Cut to 1:10 AM as we find Jenny chilling on the bleachers. Sarah and Nick come over ready to buy into Jenny's conspiracy theory, but the two quickly fall out again.
Women.
I've only just noticed this, but how long is that neck? Cut to Jenny calling out for her missing classmates and then to Nilsson watching some man-on-man action. We then cut back to Jenny as she tries to find a way out of the school before stumbling across Nilsson's suddenly dead body and reacting in a really peculiar way.
Yeah.
Oh, she is literally perfect for me. Imagine the abortions we could have. In the UK, where women have a choice. Yeah, that's right, I'm a feminist. Didn't see that coming, did you? She runs back to the gym and tries to tell Vickers what happened, but the teacher doesn't believe her.
Jenny, what are you doing here? I thought I told you to get out.
Something happened to Principal Nielsen. I think he might be dead.
Oh, Jenny, what are you talking about?
Jenny drags everyone along to come see the evidence, but when they get there, the door's locked. Jenny and Sarah argue, and finally, having had enough, Vickers kicks Jenny out and locks the door. The remaining students go back to the gym as outside Jenny tries to get back in. She sees the nailer through the window, then goes up to this car where she finds the teacher's nerd and mustache dead inside.
Oh, you're dead. I'm gonna take your keys.
Bye.
Jenny then heads back inside as we cut to the nailer popping Darren in a dishwasher, then decapitating him. I really feel like we're missing a scene where he was separated off from the group and then caught by the nailer, but at this point, what does it matter? Cut to Jenny walking the halls, finding a trail of blood and following it like a dickhead. At the end of the trail, she finds Darren's head, then runs away, bumping into Vickers.
I know what you're gonna say, but please, just listen.
Jenny,
Please.
off to the teacher's lounge.
Cut to the nailer stalking the halls and then to Jenny entering the gym. Kathy moans about the school being easier to get into than your mum when Vickers tells her it was her choice to let her back in. Jenny tells the others about Darren's head and says they have to get out of here. She says she wanted to warn everyone, and Nick starts to come around to her ideas, saying his friend should be back by now. Sarah continues to be a when the nailer's voice pipes up over the PA system. In this dizzying shot, Nick recognizes the voice as Balzac's and blames Sarah. Kathy tells Vickers to ask Nick what happened at the last famine. Jenny screams to call the police. Vickers says she left her phone in the teacher's lounge, and Nick suddenly thinks it's Tim the janitor. Vickers then asks what happened at the last famine, and we get this wonderful moment.
Jeez, back up.
I'm not gonna ask you again, Nick.
Back off!
They go to leave when the janitor pokes his head through this chain door. He asks them who chained it, but obviously the kids don't know. Tim then says he's gonna go get his tools and buggers off when Vickers breaks the chain with a tiny weight and they head out into the hall.
Everyone dies. Everyone is guilty.
The guilty can beg for mercy, but there's none.
Say what you want about this movie, but that is some quality blocking of your actors there. Kathy tells Jenny everyone's gonna die and shuts herself in the gym, so my future wife cracks on. Jenny catches up with Vickers, who tells her to go to the teacher's lounge and lock the door. Vickers says she's gonna go get the others, and Jenny tries to go with her, but is told again to get in the lounge. Inside, Jenny finds a gun.
Gun.
Mummy? Then drops that in favor of a giant sword. I feel like the gun would have been fine, but what the f do I know, eh? Anyway, Jenny goes back into the hallway and we get some more exquisite acting. She enters the office and finds the PA system hooked up to her phone, realizing the voice could be coming from anywhere. Back in the hall, Jenny tries some doors on one of the payphones when Vickers appears. Jenny asks where she was a few minutes ago, and Vickers responds she went to go find the others. She accuses Vickers of making calls to a radio station to make the announcement, so Vickers offers to be searched.
It's right here.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? Oh, f off, you f***ing. Having proved her innocence, Vickers hands Jenny back the sword and asks her what she wants to do next, with Jenny shouting she wants to find her friends. Cut to said friends outside Tim the janitor's office. They're joined by Vickers and Jenny, with the teens saying Tim and Balzac are working together. Vickers suggests Nick goes in first, but he isn't so sure. She then questions his manhood.
Nick's just not man enough. Is he?
Nick is a man. He killed my face.
In someone's face doesn't dictate how much of a man you are, does it? If so, your mum might be the manliest man I've ever met. Cause she's in my face. Like a lot. Tired of waiting, Vickers pushes in, where they find the poor vagina-faced janitor dead. Vickers says she's going to try and find the cell phones and disappears once again as the other teens head to the doors, finding them locked. They argue about what to do next when Kathy appears, saying she killed Vickers. Apparently the teacher attacked her and cut her hand, so she grabbed a knife and stabbed her to death. Nick decides to go and investigate as Jenny hands Sarah the sword before following him. Kathy starts to walk toward the girls, smiling, as we cut to Nick and Jenny finding Vickers. Nick then leans down to see if she's still alive.
He was dead to me.
Holy mother of God! Nick's insides are made of sausages! On the ground, Nick asks Vickers who she really is, and she leans down to whisper something into the boy's ear as he finally succumbs to his wounds. Cut to Kathy now holding Andrea at knife point. She tells Sarah to drop the sword, then says she's going to show her an old Indian trick. Sarah then takes off running, with Kathy giving chase. Sort of. Cut to Jenny announcing over the PA system that she's gonna get the nailer and producing a nail gun. Cut to Sarah in the classroom, where she's jumped by Kathy and Vickers. We finally get our first tit shot of the movie. But then Vickers cuts Sarah's nipple off. And stabs her to death. Cut to Jenny running away from the nailer. With no nail gun while the two killers are off killing Sarah. I don't want to make any assumptions here, but I think this scene was intended for another part of the film and they just couldn't find a place for it. Cut to Vickers and Kathy facing off against Jenny with her nail gun in the hall. See? It's here that Vickers' true identity is finally revealed.
Balzac? All this for what happened at the last famine. Killing everyone for what Kathy did to you? There you go, sounding like a stupid again.
We then find out what really happened 5 years ago. Sarah and the teens convinced Kathy that Balzac liked her and said if she him she could be a cool kid and hang out with them. She of course went to his office and gave it a go, but Balzac rejected her. This led to her accidentally pushing him into the chemical shelf and burning him to a crisp. After that, Balzac got a shitload of surgery, turning him into this gorgeous woman, and the pair of them are here to exact their revenge. Vicar's then goes to take a swing at Jenny, but she pops off a shot which passes through the teacher straight into Kathy's head. She dies, and Vicar's also takes a bit of a tumble. Cut to Jenny walking out of the school in triumph with her nail gun wearing the nailer's head. The end! Well, I think I loved that movie, which means whatever's wrong with Jenny, I think it's contagious. Famine is one of those movies I love, even though I'm well aware I really shouldn't. It's a badly acted, shoddily put together film with the wit of an especially immature 14-year-old. That being said, there's something quite charming about this silly little slasher that grabbed me from the start, and for better or worse, I enjoyed every second of it. The story is simple enough, with a group of teens returning to an event years after the last one ended in tragedy. There's really nothing unique about it at all. I guess the killer being revealed to be the tragic teacher post-sex change is a nice twist, but that ends up raising so many other questions. If the technology exists to return Balzac to such a flawless look, then why did he turn himself into a woman? To fool the students? I'm pretty sure it's never touched upon, and I assume it was done to shock the viewer, but in universe it doesn't make a lick of sense. Other than that wrinkle, this really is just your typical slasher, hardly differing at all from the structure of Gutterballs. Also, if it's 5 years after Balzac got melted, why on earth do all the students look exactly the same? In terms of the cast, they're the usual awful characters Ryan Nicholson loves to write, with the surprising standout being Jenny. She's dumb and quick to anger in a way I found really entertaining. She's not your typical final girl, and in a story as familiar as this one, her character was a welcome change. I also enjoyed Vicar's / Balzac, as she's played with an evil glee that they don't even try to hide for the duration. It's so obvious that she's the killer, the only real surprise by the end is the fact that she's being helped by Kathy, the only other memorable character in the film. These three are super cartoonish, but again, this is a Ryan Nicholson film and that's kind of his staple. Onto the gore, and we get some great stuff here, which isn't a surprise. What did surprise me though was the few instances the team seemed to just phone it in. Peterson's off-screen death followed by Vanessa falling onto the blade was lame, and the biggest sin of all is that same sequence is basically repeated again in the finale. Why they decided to off their two killers with a nail to the brain and a shockingly bloodless head stab is beyond me. Usually you expect your killers to get it the worst, but in this climax it ends with the repeat of the film's worst kill, and I was really disappointed. Next is the presentation, and everything seems to have been improved upon from Gutterballs. The colouring, sound and image quality all take a massive step up, but the film's biggest fault might lie in a failure during production. There are a couple of instances in the film where the end of one scene doesn't lead into the next, with characters leaving a scene together with an assumed goal in mind, like Terry and Vanessa heading off to bang, or Vicar's taking Jenny to the teacher's lounge, only for the next scene to start with the characters in separate places. It screams to me that these scenes were cut during filming due to time or budget constraints, and upon closer inspection it means that there are a few jarring instances where the film doesn't quite make sense. And let's not forget the multiple shots of the killer walking around only for us to cut to a room where both killers are present. That on its own is cheeky because it's deliberately misleading the audience as to who the killer could be in a way that isn't fair. It's almost as bad as killing off a character and having them come back as the killer at the end, like another movie I saw recently. Maybe I should do a video about that. Anyway, on the surface, this film is a great improvement on Ryan's earlier work, but these mistakes in structure really knock it down a few points. In the end, Famine is a film I thoroughly enjoyed, even if the final product was a bit messy. I loved Jenny as our unhinged final girl, the kills were great for the most part, and while the climax wasn't the most exciting, it still made for a fun reveal. If you love slasher whodunits as much as I do, I can guarantee you're gonna have a lot of fun with Famine. So that was my review of Famine. What do you lot think? I really did have a lot of fun with this one, which is a surprise, as I was under the impression Gutterballs was Nicholson's best film. Now I really can't wait to check out his final two films, but before we do that, we're gonna have to go backwards for a bit. I'm sure we'll be fine. The gore was good in this one too, with special shouts going to Katie's knife in the face and Andrea being scalped. But my absolute favourite, of course, has to be Balzac getting his face melted to mush. Speaking of which, if you want to see Sarah get de-nippled completely uncut and early, head over to patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons. There you can find the uncut version of this review, plus others with more stuff being added all the time. We got the uncut reviews, Patreon exclusive reviews, slasher comic breakdowns, the first episode of the podcast, and the Discord. And all that could be yours for as little as $2 a month. You can pledge more, I really appreciate it, and do, because I need the money and the constant validation. So that's it for another week. Like the video, leave a comment, and click subscribe if you haven't already. My name's Jonjo Lyons, and can someone track down the Instagram? of the girl who plays Jenny. Or better yet, her home address, and I'll give you a free month from the Patreon or something. I want to taste her stink. That's too much. That's too much.